Hey guys, this is Jonathon Henderson with Pressure Washing Marketing Pros, and I got Jim Dubois with me of not only Squeegee Pros, but also Window Washing Wealth, and he's also a really good client of ours here at Pressure Washing Marketing Pros. How you doing, Jim?
Yes, sir. I am doing just awesome. Good to see you, Jonathan. Good to see you. Dude, I tell you what, you just don't age. You just get younger and younger looking. I don't know what kind of face cream you're using, but
Hey
hey,
man,
keep it up.
hey genetics. They say black don't crack. You know what I mean? So,
I love it. I
but
love it. It's so cool.
I appreciate that. And so I know, Jim, I'll probably be seeing you in about a week here at one of the masterminds me and you both go to. So it'll be good to see you there. But I want to get you on, man, to talk shop right now because I learned a lot just from our conversations that me and you have. And I know that you're running a, multi-million dollar exterior cleaning company, and a lot of guys want to grow their exterior cleaning company as well. And so you were one of the most popular episodes that we had. I want to say a couple of years ago. And so I want to get you back on so that we can talk about recruiting, expansion, policies, having world-class service, and financials. Does that sound good?
Boy, I just love those topics. Right in my wheelhouse. How did you come up with those things? Those are
Yeah,
perfect
man.
topics to
Hey,
talk about,
yeah, man. I
especially
wanted
for those that really want to go into the seven figures, completely separated from the day to day. That's my jam right there. So yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah, man. And you know what? I know that we'll talk. I know some people are like, man, seven figures, which, as we both know, because Jim, we both run seven-figure businesses. I think the biggest thing, though, is that I think our audience are going to I think if we can cater to the 100,000 to 500,000 and how those guys can get to that level of scalability, right? So, if you guys don't know who Jim is, you need all of that. Like I said, he runs a multi-million dollar exterior cleaning company in the Charlotte metro area. Like I said, team, you have a president. I think you work Christina. Obviously, I know you have Christina. She's a president, and she's doing the day-to-day stuff. You work about what, 2 hours a day on this business, maybe a week.
It's about 3 to 4 hours a month.
Okay, so 3 to 4 hours. So hey, I'm even wrong right there, about an hour a week right there, right? But I've seen your operation in person. I will see it again next month. And so yeah, let's get right into it. So if you guys can watch the previous video, if or the previous podcast, we'll link that. If you want to know more about Jim's backstory, I think for this one, we're gonna get right into systems. We're gonna get right into things. So, Jim, obviously you have a coaching group, Window Washing Wealth, as well. So you talk to a lot of these different exterior cleaning companies that are trying to scale their business. And I know recruiting is a number one kind of thing that is holding them back. I mean, I literally just got off a call with somebody that says, Jonathan, I'm going to grow this year, but I know I have to hire and do all of that. So when do you think most people should make those hires, especially coming towards the busy season? Because from what I've seen, a lot of guys will get super busy, try to hire during the busy season, and they can't. So when do you think is the appropriate time to hire to prepare for the year?
Yeah, you should be already looking for those right people to bring in as the season starts to kick off, like right now. Doesn't mean you got to hire them right now, or as soon as the weather starts to break, or whatever that looks like in your geographic, you can even strategy one, you can bring them in part-time, right?
Hmm.
So you don't break the bank coming out of the gates into the season, with an emphasis on full-time, if that makes sense for you as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, we're at my company at Squeegee Pros, we're just about to start the recruiting to bring people in for the season. So when we're looking at technicians, yep, that's it's we're right knocking on that door based on your geographic where you're located at. You know pretty much when the spring starts to, the when the dial starts to turn for spring, you want to be ahead of the game. So right now you should be already getting the ads written, the interview set up, and having a start date ready to go for the most part, part-time or full-time. You guys know what that looks like in your world.
Exactly. And then you say part-time because of the flexibility aspect of it, right? To where you don't necessarily, like you said, have to break the bank. And is that
Yes.
a good segue to have you turned your part-time guys into full-time as well once you've gotten things going on with them?
Yep, we're very clear and transparent with that during the interview
Mm-hmm.
that if we're using that angle part-time to full-time, We let them know exactly what that looks like, and that just takes all the pressure off. We don't have to worry about the bank account. We can take our time training them. They can do a few jobs, and then, as we start to get busier, and that happens kind of organically, boom, we make the switch.
And then yeah, and you've already onboarded them, you've already trained them. And so I think right now, so where do you go to hire a lot of these people? Like, what is your recruitment? Can you tell me a little bit about what your recruitment process looks like? Because I know you said firing up the ads. Are you going on Indeed? Are you going on LinkedIn? Do you have different networking groups that you have, people on the back burner? How do you go ahead and ensure that you're getting those right people? Because it's February right now, Jim, you know?
Yeah, pretty much everything you said. You're going to have your more prominent areas like Indeed, but there's ZipRecruiter, there's Monster, there's LinkedIn, there's Facebook. There's opportunities to get your word out to people. You can go to college fairs. I mean, we've hired people, and this is a large subject that we're about to go into,
Uh-huh.
but if my wife Tammy and I are at the store, at a restaurant, going through a drive-through even, there have been opportunities, and we have hiring cards
Hmm.
that I can't remember exactly what they say, but if we meet somebody that fits the A player top tier hiring criteria,
Hmm.
and over the years, I've had many of those conversations, walking through Home Depot, walking through Lowe's, right? Home improvement. You can recruit from anywhere. You're going to have your main ones, of course, but it doesn't mean that that's it. You have so many opportunities to meet people and give them your hiring card, right? Get their contact information and let the interviews begin.
No, perfect. And can you give me some of those attributes or some of the qualities that you've seen? Like, because some people might be listening to this and saying, dude, I'm going to Home Depot. I don't think I'm going to find an A player in Home Depot. Like, how do you how do you ensure that that person, when you first meet them, when you're day to day, that they're that A player at that point, or somebody that could be an A player or could be beneficial to your company?
Yeah, there's several attributes. So we look at my company like it is in our industry and where we operate from the Charlotte, North Carolina area. We are the Ritz-Carlton of what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So if those that are listening, if you have not stayed at the Ritz-Carlton, that $300-400 a night investment, it is so worth it for your company. And just go through that experience of how they treat you. And you're going to get so much opportunity of learning just from that. Plus, you're going to have a great time. When Tammy and I go, we are treated like kings and queens. And this is part of my world-class service system. There's 18 elements that make it up, but there's parts of it in there that I got from the Ritz-Carlton experience. So we're looking for clean cut. We're looking for those that are well-spoken. We're looking for those that can carry on a conversation. We're looking for those that have, and this is so important, a great attitude. And you can just tell when you meet somebody face to face, you can just tell. You can just tell if they're going to be the right individual walking into that $5 million home, engaging with the customer, or that $50,000 large commercial project and engaging with the superintendent, whatever that might be, or the builder. Those are some of the things that we look for. Do they present themselves well? And can they carry on a conversation with you with a little bit of astuteness to it to where they fit the criteria of an A player? That's what we're looking for, the A player. And we're only looking for the A player. We don't even entertain anybody else into our world, whether it's on the technician side or it's in the office.
Perfect. And that segues me to my next question. It is going to be about if I'm doing about 100 to 500,000 dollars in my, or you know what? Not even that. If I'm doing about 100,000 to 300,000, right, in my exterior cleaning company. And that's where usually a lot of guys where they're like, maybe it's just them, a helper, maybe a part-time guy. What do you think is the most critical hire when you're at that range of 100,000 to 300,000 a year? Like, what would you tell a guy that's running a company like that? Like, who should their first hire be? Some people I hear say like office manager. Some people I hear I say like lead tech. Some people say depends on your business. What do you say, Jim?
Yeah, it does fall into the latter. It depends on how you're running your business. It does depend
Uh-huh.
on cash flow. So there's a couple of avenues to go here. The mission here, Jonathan, and those listening, the
Uh-huh.
mission here is to get out of the truck. That's
Hmm.
the mission. Doesn't mean it starts right at 100,000 a year. You're still working probably at 100,000 a year. You've got 80, 85% profit margins coming in. So two ways to go. One is you can bring in a part-time administrator, secretary, whatever you
Hmm.
want to call that person, just to take some of that off your plate, the phone, the admin role off your plate. That's one way to look at it. The second way to look at it is you're booked out. You're booked out 2.5 weeks. The right season is in front of you, so it's a good time to hire your first technician to come in the truck with you, right? And now you can take two guys to that truck to the next level in revenue. So one of the revenue trigger points that we have inside Window Washing Wealth, the coaching company,
Huh?
is when you hit 20,000 a month in revenue. 20,000 a month is a revenue trigger point to
Yep.
bring in the full-time administrator. Now you might have somebody part-time.
Hmm.
You might have a part-time technician because you just can't quite keep up with the demand, but you're not quite ready to bring that full-time person in.
Hmm.
But know that the objective here is to get out of the truck and off the phone.
Hmm.
Keep it super simple. That is the objective here, building this thing. So that's how we look at that. So when you're booked out a couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks, the right season's in front of you, hire somebody and you're growing. Because if you're
Hmm.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks out, you're already making the wrong decision. You should already have somebody hired in the truck with you. Well,
Hmm.
you're 2.5, 3 weeks out again, right? Two of you are in the truck. It's time to bring in the third person. Maybe that's when you step out of the truck. Now it comes down to personal financial situation. Can you step out of the truck logistically? Yes, but do you have enough cash flow with your financial demands? So, couple of avenues to go there to make that so it's right for you. There's no cookie cutter answer to that question. Depends on their situation, but those are some of
Perfect.
the angles that we work with.
Perfect. And I love how you describe that angle because now I'm going to give you a specific angle now that I usually get with a lot of our clients that I talk to or a lot of the sales calls that I'm on, and you probably see the same thing. Is that let's say you just said something critical right there. Let's say that okay, I'm at 20,000 right now, right? During my busy season with this. I have a part-time helper, but I'm 2 to 3 weeks booked out now. So now you do I hire that other technician now or do I just go to the office manager? Like, cause like, with the admin, because you said that's a critical key point is I'm at 20,000 now, but I'm like, Jim, I'm 2 to 3 weeks booked out. So I'm gonna get the office person, but I can't get the office person and then also get another tech. So if I'm at like 20 to 25,000, Jim, and I'm like, I don't have an office person, but I have that kind of technician that's working with me part time, what do I do there? Am I getting that office admin still at
Yeah,
20,000?
absolutely. I'm immediately getting that phone hat off my head. I don't want to be doing the scheduling. I don't want to be taking the phone calls. That's what I'm hiring the admin for full time. So, I break 20,000 a month and I got the right season in front of me. Boom, admin comes in.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to get a return on investment, and none of these positions are cost. Each of these positions are just phenomenal investments in your company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Provided you're hiring the right people. We can talk about that too, the how to
Yeah.
behind that. So yeah, all day long, I'm bringing that full-time administrator in above 20,000 a month. I'm booked 3 weeks out. That's okay. That part-timer is now going full-time. Or going to begin again, it all comes down to the profit and loss statement, what the financials look like, money in the bank. When do I make that addition to bring that next technician in? All is happening right about that time, and if I'm coaching you, we're working through that together to make sure it's right.
Perfect, 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 perfect. And yeah, like I've said, I've seen the results of your coaching firsthand because a lot of our clients use you guys, and I do recommend your guys' company as well with that. So when it comes to getting that office manager, you have them in place now, you're getting all of that. What you just hit on it. How does your recruitment process look like? And like how do I go about like hiring these people? I know we talked about the ads and all of that earlier, but you also said the process about the hiring and all of that. Can you shed some more light about that?
Yeah, the if we take a look at recruiting, it's a system,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to be a system. The objective here is two things. find A player employees
Uh-huh.
and keep them.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that using the system, and if it's okay, Jonathan, I'll go into
Yeah, going to yeah, of
some of
course,
those
man. That's why I got
strategies
you
to do
here.
that.
I want you to talk about some of the system, you know?
So there's four parts to this in the recruiting. We'll call it the recruiting system because it
Uh-huh.
is a system. One is the ad itself. So you have places that you can place ads. You have places you can meet people and so on. So right here, we're focused on a player technician. We don't want just anybody that can fog a mirror, meaning they're alive and breathing, or
Uh-huh.
somebody that can just physically sit in a chair or sit in the truck. We need a player employees, hands down, period. So it starts with magnetic job posts. So let's say you're using Indeed, for example. Your job posts, they need to speak to the A player and nobody else. My job posts are 8 pages long. They do the job because I cater to what the A player wants. I cater to what the A player cares about, and I'm speaking their language because that's the only person that I want to hire
Can you
is
give
the
us a
A
little bit of
player.
insight about some of the things? You don't have to give us the full sauce, but can you give us at least a couple of things that you are doing that, or a couple of things that attracts that A player that like you're doing right now?
So I tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine that you're showing up to the office. It's 7:30 on Monday morning. There's cornhole happening. There's music outside that's happening. We've got the country channel on. We've got the hip hop channel on, whatever it might be, and if we change it up day to day during the week. We've got unlimited ice. It's going to be a 95-degree day today. Or we've got snow cones, at the office. If you stop by on the office on the way during lunch, I begin to tell a story what it's going to feel like working for my company, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm a larger company. Some of you may not be there yet, but it's all about building a company culture. So I begin talking about the company culture. I begin talking about how there's pathways to advancement. I'm talking about how you're going to be surrounded by other people just like yourself that want to go places in life, that want to surround themselves with a company that gets that, understands that. So I'm telling a story, but I'm only telling the story to the A player that I want to hire.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm making them, it's almost like just close your eyes and think about what this is going to seem like because you're working for my company. And those, all those little attributes that are inside there give this feeling. At the
Mm-hmm.
same time, I'm putting the takeaways in there too. Like if you're looking for a get rich quick scheme, if you're looking for a place where there's no law and order, for example, this is not going to be the place for you. And little things like that I'm dropping into these job posts that we're writing. So it comes down to the experience that we want them to feel and visualize. And we're writing this in the ad. And this is an attraction mechanism because I'm only speaking to that one person.
Mm-hmm. Okay, then perfect. Do you have any kind of trial test or anything that you're having these people go through? Like whenever they so if they click apply, what happens? You don't have to say the full thing, but like what does the general process looks like after they click apply? Is there like do you have trials that they like trial tests that they go through? Are they doing group interviews? What does that look like? Are they doing one-on-ones?
Yeah, great question. So many, and this is a great question. So many, what happens is they put themselves into an environment where they're just doing endless one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Endless one-on-ones. And what happens when you're doing endless one-on-ones and you're getting busier and busier and busier? Well, you go into desperado mode. You're getting frustrated because the right people are not getting in front of you. And then if they can fog a mirror, you do hire them. And then what happens? your revolving door just continues to spin. The hamster on the wheel just continues to go round and round because you're hiring the wrong people. You can't keep these people.
You have the job fair stuff that you're going ahead and doing. You have all of these different things. So like when somebody clicks that button, right, to go ahead and, they're applying all of that, and you have all of the group interviews and all of that other kind of stuff, and they're going one-on-one. Have all of that other kind of information to where you're doing the one-on-one stuff.
Everything starts with the job post. Everything starts there. You're talking to the right people in front of you. This is where so many miss the boat. Then instead of doing the one-on-ones that are just endless, right? Let's doing hiring events going forward. Get 4, 5, 6, 7 people together. I've done hiring events. You can do hiring events at if you don't do it in your home. You can do it in a parking lot if you need to. But when you get 4 or 5, 6, 7 people together, the hiring event becomes conducive to finding exactly who you want to find and hire from one interview, which is the hiring event. Does that make sense, kind of how I'm explaining it?
So job fair and all of that other kind of stuff, where you hire one to many, Jim. So I like that idea. So what happens after somebody does click that apply? Like, so you're holding that group interview at that point?
Yes, exactly. So remember, this is so important. This is where so many miss the boat. Your ads, your job posts, the attraction mechanism to get people in front of you, it has to be on point. That's why I call them magnetic job posts, only speaking to the A player. Then they click, they're coming to the hiring event. We're not doing endless one-on-one interviews. Just get a group of people together. I've done hiring events in parking lots. You can go down to the local Holiday Inn and say, hey, I want a room right next to the front doors. Can I rent a room for a couple of hours, right? There's so
Uh-huh.
many ways to do this. If you have an office, you're all set, but there's workarounds here. Point is, when you've got 4 or 5, 6, 7, 8 people together, where probably the higher number of them are going to be exactly who you want because of the ad. And then when you go through the hiring event, this is very important, the questions you ask, the engagement that occurs, the A player starts to rise. You begin to identify who they are,
Hmm.
and there you go. You're ready to hire those people. So those two things, the job post has got to be spot on. Save yourself a tremendous amount of time. One hiring event, you should hire exactly who you're looking for versus 4 or 5, 6, 7 of them, and you still haven't got the right person. You get go into that desperado mode we don't want to do.
Uh-huh.
That's key. But here's, if it's okay, here's another big part to this
Yeah,
in
of
this
course.
recruiting system. And it's onboarding. And we know what onboarding is. It's when you're going to hire somebody, they're filling out the paperwork, you're getting them into training and all that good stuff. But there's a big but to this that so many are just, they're not thinking about this or they're not really prepared to hire the A player. What am
Hmm.
I talking about here? They don't have a brand. They don't have a company manual. They don't have a strict onboarding procedure, policy, itinerary, whatever you want to call that.
Hmm.
Because here's what happens. The A player, they're making a decision whether they want to work for you or not.
Hmm.
They're not going there hoping to get this job. They have the credentials.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, does the company have the credentials to hire the A player?
Hmm.
That's where so many companies fail and they struggle to attract top talent because they don't have those credentials as a company to attract those A players. And they might attract them, but then will they stay? So, what am I talking about? Do you have a company manual you're walking them through? Do you have pathways to advancement? I'm an A player. Where am I going to go with this company? Do you have a clear vision as to where this company is going? I would like to know. What's the mission statement? What's the certified training system look like? We have a 72-point certified training system. What does that look like? This is all part of onboarding. When I walk into your trucks, for example,
Hmm.
am I going to see McDonald's in the floorboard, gunky pennies in the cup holder, wet, dirty towels, unfolded, a dirty windshield? This is a cleaning company. If you don't have those things in place, I'm out, or I'm
Hmm.
going to be out probably sooner than you think. And this is where so many listeners, they struggle to not just attract the A player, they struggle to keep them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's number four, retention. You've got to build in retention strategies. You need to build in a company culture so that the A player, right? This is a totally different person than the D player. The D players, they want to be
Jim,
hired all
Jim,
day
Jim, Jim,
long.
Jim, Jim, I don't even know. Like, man, I don't even know if it's kind of impossible to hire a D player. You know,
It's
that's because that's the type of person that's gonna get like a DUI on the way to the interview or something. You know?
yeah, that's right. That's right. But what happens? When you're doing endless one-on-ones and you get frustrated because you're not finding the right people, you're busy, busy, busy. You got to get somebody. You do go into that desperado mode, and again, you hire them. And those
Yeah,
listening, I know you're nodding your head right now. I know you are. I just know it
yeah,
because
yeah,
I was in the same boat. I'm busy. I need to get somebody in that truck, and that's what begins to happen. So, magnetic job posts, the uh, hiring events, a built out onboarding system. And then number four is a recruiting, or I'm sorry, a retention program so that they want to come to work versus having to.
because the most expensive thing that I think that people don't understand is turnover in a business. And I even know it in my own
Yes.
businesses I run is that like I'd rather pay somebody 1.5 times the amount of what they want, right? And even to go ahead and retain them as well, to retain an A player. Because one A player, as you know, Jim, with like how Christina is, Brian, and all those people, one A player is worth like can do the work of like four B players. You know what I mean? So it's like it's actually cheaper to go ahead and like, you know what I mean? To go ahead and hire those people. Would you agree with that?
Well said. Well said. Those listening, I would print that out, put it on the wall, look at it every day because so many they're just they're not thinking about that. Here's a great point to this. Most of those that are listening, the 100,000, 200, $300,000, $500,000 a year companies, they're thinking like a six-figure hustler, right?
Yeah.
Book a job, do a job, book a job, do a job, book a job, do a job, right? And that's as far as their thinking is going versus you, me,
Yeah.
others that are listening, and I'm sure here as well. We have a totally different mindset. And this is the shift that listeners need to start working on and making happen. And that mindset shift is going from that six-figure hustler thinking mentality to a seven-figure CEO mindset. Every decision, everything you're thinking about, every action you take, you're thinking seven is what a seven-figure CEO do this, right? That's hiring. That's the interview. That's the retention strategies. And this is just one system we're talking about. We haven't even got into lead generation or a sales engine and expansion. There's so many, but every facet of this, what are you thinking? And this all breaks down to your thinking. This is all about working on your business. We've heard this 1,000 times. Work on your
Mhm.
business, not in your business. Work on your business, not in your business, right?
Yeah.
But these things that we're talking about, this is how you begin to do it. This is some of the how-to. This is the how behind the how-to on some of these things that you have to do if you're going to turn the corner and scale. I was on a call literally right before I hopped on this great call here. $2 million plus company. He's
Mhm.
gone through all the school of hard knocks. So think about this: a $2 million company, sales engine broken, administrative system bad, broken. He's still on the phone with
Mhm.
one secretary. He is stuck. His company has stalled. And just like those that are listening, or in his case, I said, what got you here, it's not going to get you there. And
Mhm.
that's, of course, stuff that we're talking about here today. How to break through the quarter million to get to the 500,000 to get to the million plus.
No, you're right about that. And that's why I want to have you on here because as I'm looking at these notes that I have right now with you, is that I think that I want to focus on recruitment and I wanted to focus because Jim, I think I'm gonna have you for at least 30 more minutes, my friend. Is that fine? If I have you for
Oh, I'm
30
all
more
about
minutes
it.
here?
I'll stay on with you for two
Okay.
hours.
Hey, man. Hey, that's happened before many a times, right? That's happened before many a times. The biggest thing though, like I said, because we can talk about this policies, world-class service, and I know financials, but I think what I want to focus on today's is like the recruitment stuff. That's the biggest pain point people have, and then also sales and expansion and lead generation. I think those are the two things that if we looked at guys that are between that 100 to 300,000, and Jim, I can get you on another podcast too at another point. Like if you want to do this again, man, like next month, whatever it is, and we talk specifically about policies, world-class service, financials, all of that, we definitely can. But I wanted to get you on specifically too about, expansion because I know that this is probably for our guys that are doing 350,000 to 500,000 right here. But like I know that you talked about an expansion thing where you buy other companies, but you don't necessarily have to like outright cash, outright buy them. Can you talk about some expansion things that you do and also lead generation as well? I know that's an umbrella thing. Which
Oh
one do you
yeah.
want to cover first? Which one do you want to cover first?
Let's go into lead generation
Let's
first,
go
and
in
then
lead
we'll go
generation, then we'll go in
into
expansion. Let's go
one
in
of the
expansion.
expansion
Okay.
strategies that
Okay,
you're
yeah.
alluding to.
So let's go to lead
So
generation first. In your
I
book,
know,
by the way, guys, window washing wealth. You guys should go ahead and get that and we'll link that. In
thank
your
you for
book,
that.
yeah, no problem. In your book, you talk about the 60-25-15 rule, right? You talk about that rule where 60% of your marketing efforts should go to retaining and marketing to current customers, right? 25% should go to getting new customers, and 15% should be invested in getting back inactive customers. So when it comes to your
Yes,
lead generation strategies, can you talk about the 60-25-15 rule and then also just how you guys approach lead generation?
sure can, sure can. So if we take the backdrop of lead generation, and it's where the bottleneck is for most, what got you where you are today won't necessarily double revenues to get you where you want to go tomorrow. So
Mhm.
one, leads are essential. Leads and a consistency of lead flow becomes essential. And then we have to increase the consistency of that lead flow to get to the next level. And I can walk you through what I did with Squeegee Pros and how that occurred. This is a big topic here, but I think it's a topic, especially for those that are listening, that 100 to 300, 100 to 500,000. It is so important to be able to scale. So three parts to lead generation. Before I jump right into that, think about it this way. Lead generation, most they have one, two, maybe three ways they generate leads. They've got something with Google, they've got something with Facebook, and then they got referrals or word of mouth. All right. That is not going to take you to where you want to go. It's just not. It'll got you where you're at now. That's perfectly fine. Keep doing those things. But three things aren't going to take you to seven figures if that's the objective. You need multiple lead generating levers. You need a marketing arsenal. You need 8, 10, 12, 15 ways to generate lead flow, all in place. A system, right? So there's three ways we break it down. One is exterior. I'm sorry, external lead
External.
flow. External lead flow. This is where Jonathon really shines, especially on the digital front with Google, the Google 5 pack, the Google 6 pack, right?
Mhm.
You've got Facebook, you've got social media posting, you've got print, you've got the digital. There's unorthodox ways like joint ventures with maid services, pest control, landscapers, painters, and there's an endless list there. There's how to work with high-end realtors if your lean is especially residential. There's methodology behind these things. There's networking groups. Most join a BNI or a networking group, and that's all great, but they have no strategy behind how they're going to get leads. They just hope. You can't build a business on hope. So each one of these things that we're talking about, there's underlying techniques and strategies and things we do to optimize lead flow. I'll share a couple of these with you. So that's external. So in my company, to kind of put this in perspective, my lead generation system, we average 500 to 600 leads a month. Most of you are not even ready for that yet. You got to build up to that, right? You got to have the recruiting
And
system in
also the
place.
market to the market. Like your market has to do it, but there's a lot of markets that can do the numbers that you're talking about, but guys kind of stop. And I'm sorry to interrupt you on that, Jim, because I want to just have that caveat before somebody says
Yes.
this guy's lying. He's not lying because I can show you guys the numbers just from what we're doing for Jim and you guys are Squeegee Pros. I mean, we do about like in the wintertime, we've already got like 125, 150. And then during like the busier season, I'm seeing 225 to 300 during the busy season. And I know you have your own internal stuff that you're doing. So I'll sit here and admit, guys, us doing his marketing and us tracking all his stuff with that, just the stuff we bring him is just like 220, 225. So for him, it's like he's bringing in another like 200, 300 to his business. And I can attest to that. And I see it personally. I'm gonna
Thank you
say
for
that.
that. And it's
I'm
it's
gonna say that first. I want to say that first that I can attest that you're doing that. But also, not every market's gonna do that. Some markets may only be capped at 100 that they can get on digital, but you can still do as many as Jim's talking about. But you might have to shift that makeup, what you're talking about, external, internal, and these different things. So when you're listening, guys, don't just think this guy's BSing because he's talking about just Google or these external things. No, for your area, you may need to shift the breakup in what you're doing. Some of it, 70%, if you're in a really big market, could be external. As you know, Jim, like if you're in LA, 70% of it could be
Yes,
external. But
you're exactly.
if you're in Waco, Texas, right? Then at that point, you may not need to just go external. You may need to go more internal. So I'm sorry for interrupting you on that, Jim. I just want to
No, you're
say
right on.
I wanted to say that before somebody just says like you can't just get 500 leads. It's like that makeup you'd have to it may depending on your market, you may have a cap, but also you may need to shift more of your focus on one or the other, which is why Jim's going about all of these. You can go
And
on.
I'll tell you what, to even bring more perspective what you're talking about. Yeah, we're in the Charlotte, North Carolina market. It's a pretty awesome market that we're in, but we're also 35, 40 minutes north of Charlotte, an area called Lake Norman. A couple 100,000 people, Lake Norman. We do 1 million a year, just Lake Norman,
Mm-hmm.
not including Charlotte. So think about that, a couple 100,000 people. And this is something that it gets more advanced on some of these masterminds, TAM, total addressable market. What's it look like inside your world? That's a different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Point is, build out a marketing arsenal. We talked about external,
Mm-hmm.
right? Imagine you've got 5 joint ventures. Imagine you've got 2 high-level residential realtors that you're working with.
Yeah.
uh, Cleaning companies are working. You got Google going. You've got Facebook going. You've got door hangers going. There's a myriad of things. We have 36 different ways to generate leads externally,
Mm-hmm.
and then you begin to install them. Then there's internal. So internal is going to be your database, right? So you're going to have prospects, those that you never got on the calendar. Do not delete them. Keep them in your database. There's going to be your aging customers.
And
Maybe
where
it's
are
been
these
a
again?
year.
Where are these again?
Internal is going to
Internal.
be
Okay.
aging customers, so prospects, aging customers, and active customers. This makes up your database.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, everyone listening, most do very little to pull out as much revenue as they possibly can on the internal marketing lever inside your company. And I will say, most of you know the strategies, but do you have systems behind the strategies for email blasting your database? Are you segmenting those emails to prospects only, to those that you've only done a house wash for and not a window cleaning for? Are you
Yeah.
sending out voicemail blasts and stacking it? I talk about stacking your marketing so that they're getting the email, the voicemail blast at the same time. We're very selective with text blasting. So there's strategics behind all of these things. And then are you putting offers? Are you putting promotions? Are you putting sales in place specific times of the year? Valentine's Day is coming, right? You can spin the words a little bit. It doesn't have to be money off. There's so many ways to go about this to get attention. Marketing is all about using a hook, using an attention getting headline, something to get attention. Because if you can get their attention and you can keep their attention, there's a high likelihood they're going to book a call with you to get on the calendar or at least inquire about your services. So external, internal. And then number 3 is nurture your database, nurture. When I was speaking at the huge convention last year, I had 120 people in the room, and I asked the question, raise your hand, family and friends aside, raise your hand if you can tell me the name or the company name of the electrician that last served you. One hand went up. So that tells me 99% of electricians, at least, actually the stat is 97% of service companies do nothing on the nurture side. Nurturing is it's very simply this: stay in front of your customer and prospective database by never going away somehow, some way. I just gave you the strategies to never go away, because then they'll know who to call when they decide to raise their hand for service. Think about this in your own world, all of you that are listening. Do you know the name of the plumbing company that last came by? The electrician company. I know my electrician company that last came by because he's actually has a coach that coaches him in the electrical trades. He knows about nurturing his database. So when you put the trifecta together, this is how you begin to increase lead flow. I have 20,000 in my database. We make money anytime we want to make money. We just go right to our internal and we put some strategies forth. The phone rings, the schedule stays booked out.
And you know what, Jim? I just had a YouTube video talking about that four-step system about of how guys like yourself are doing this. And people think that this is like hard math or like a it's what does it say? It's hard to execute, but it's simple. It's simple but hard to execute. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
like it's simple but it's hard to execute, right? And what do I mean by that? First, you need marketing channels, as you talked about, Jim, right? You're capturing them in million-dollar businesses like yours. You're capturing those leads. Then what are you doing? You're adding them in your CRM and you have a sales process, right? To where now,
Yes.
like you said, you're nurturing them. You know your avatar, like those Lake Norman people that live out there in those residents. That second step, I always say, first step is have a way to get acquisition of clients. Second is what you're talking about. You know your avatar, Lake Norman, those high residential ranges, all of that. So you know your specific avatar. You know the specific things like the cobwebs on their home. I heard you talking about that the last time we talked. Like you know their specific pain points. And yes, me and Jim do some strategy sessions with each other, just talking shop. That's how I wanted him coming on here. But you know your specific market with Lake Norman of those people who have those specific issues with their homes on the lake. So when they get your emails or anything like that, they're like, this guy knows my exact problems, right? Or this
Exactly right.
and so then guess what? Step three, what do you do at that point? You nurture your list. You segment them like you just talked about because you're extracting as much as you can from your list. Because that first step, when you have the acquisition, year over year, you're gonna do what, Jim? You're gonna have a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger list. You know what I mean?
It's the beauty of this business, pressure washing, window cleaning. We're in the consumption business. What gets dirty needs to be cleaned again and again and again and again. And so many forget about their database. Our
Yes.
database is a money printing machine, literally a money printing machine. Just one, and I do have a couple of things that are proprietary. One strategy on our internal, we pull in 1 million a year, and
Uh-huh.
it is a proprietary thing. Point is, it's most, and this takes us to the sales engine. Most obsess. I need leads, more leads, more leads, more leads. They obsess over that when they haven't even fixed what happens when the phone rings.
Bingo. And I just made a Facebook post about that, Jim. I just made a Facebook post about that, about people like if they just you could about pricing and about close rate too, right? Like even close rate, like there could be a business, one business could get 100 like let's just use 100 as like an even number. One business could get 100 leads, and let's say both businesses have the same price point, right? That's why close rate and how you nurture your leads is so important. Let's say one business is getting 100 leads a month, right? And they have a 20% close rate, which is terrible, right? Which a lot of guys would. Like I've seen it
Terrible.
myself. I've seen it myself. Well, they'll have a terrible close rate, right? So out of 100 leads, they close 20 of them. You know what I mean? For let's just say for the sake of the argument, $500. Let's just say $500. They do that. They close 20. That's what, like $10,000. I want to say, like, right, $10,000, right? That they just closed from those 100 leads. And then you have another business that could get half the amount of leads, right? Half the amount. And let's say they have a 40% close rate, right? At that point. You know what I mean? There's still both those people right there, they're making the same amount of money, right? One business closed 40% of the leads and they only got 50. You know what I mean? And they still closed 20 leads. They still closed 20 jobs. The other one got 100 leads and their close rate's 20% and they still closed 20. And so I tell guys, imagine if that other business that got 100 leads simply just doubled their close rate to 40%. That's 40 leads or 40, people that they close. So,
And
yeah,
Jonathan, what you're talking about here, you just said it. There's two levers there that are massive. So remember that person I was talking to before this call? He does over
yeah,
2 million a year.
yeah.
He has a customer job average ticket of $350.
And I said to him, I said, I want you to listen to me. Really, really listen to me. One strategy. We double your average ticket from 350 to 700. Mine's almost double the 700. So we're not going to the extreme here. If we do that from 350 to 700, and let's say you're 100% residential, we just doubled your company.
And
Doubled
look,
your
Jim,
company.
and Jim, let's say you don't even let's speak devil's advocate here. Let's say you don't even let's say that you lose customers. Let's say that you lose half your customers because you raise your ticket to 700. You know what that does?
Well, no, don't raise it to the. Well, okay, go keep going, keep going.
No, so what I'm saying is that like let's say you lose, let's say your average ticket because you got a bunch of cheapos, right? You got a bunch of cheapos that you're servicing all the time, right? And you're like, dude, I can't hire enough. Because in that point you get to an operational capacity to where it's like you're just servicing a bunch of cheapos at that point. You know what I mean? You can't grow your business and you're just hiring just to service these cheapos. But what I was gonna say is imagine now you raise your price because some people might say, Jim, if I raise my price, I'm gonna lose all my clients. But let's say you double your price at that point and you lose half of your clients, right? But you maintain half of them. Since you doubled your price, you're making the same exact thing, servicing half the customers, right?
You're
Now you
exactly
can go
right.
get more of those right type of customers and you can do a better job and you can have world-class service as you talked about, Jim.
So there's three things that are going on here. Everyone that's listening, this is so important. Lead
Yeah.
flow is one thing, but we got to fix this stuff on the inside. Raise
Yeah.
your prices doesn't necessarily mean double your prices. We raise our prices 5% every single year.
Uh-huh.
The guy I was talking to, he's got a 100% close rate for gutter cleaning. I said, if I buy your company, the first thing I'm going to do is raise the prices on gutter cleaning. Let's get it to a 70% sweet spot close rate. But when we talk about customer job average ticket, you so let's back this up a little bit because many are in soft washing. They do no window cleaning. Do no gutter cleaning. Or if they do window cleaning, they do exterior window cleaning only. You
Mhm.
gotta, again, this is the six-figure hustler mindset. We got to get to the seven-figure hustler mindset, meaning what's that wheelhouse of services look like? Do you have all the services that connect? Window cleaning in and out, house washing, roof washing, gutter cleaning, gutter polishing, pressure washing, right? Screen washing. That fits into the wheelhouse. Look at it this way. Those that are listening, you're doing 100, 2, 3, $400,000 a year. You're probably in the truck. Every task, every project, every role position, it's only temporary. It's only temporary on your journey to seven figures, right? So when we look at that customer job average ticket, if you're at 350, we're going to put an emphasis on the wheelhouse of services. Add in what's missing. So if I'm coaching you, we're going to add in what's missing. We're going to start putting emphasis on those through our communication to our potential customers. We're going to start doing bundling. We're going to start putting promos together. We're going to take that 350. We're going to take it to 700. We do that. We just doubled your company. Then if your close rate's only 50%, that's a problem. If I buy your company, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fix that too. We got to get it to 70%. Because if you guys, as Jonathan alluded to, 100 leads coming in a month and you're closing 50%, that's 50 jobs on the calendar, right? Think about the 350 to the 700, that doubles it there. But if we take and increase it from 50 to 70%, we just got 20 more jobs on the calendar. If your 20 more jobs on the calendar are now doing $700 a month, we just added another $150,000 a year to the bottom line. It's those
Yeah,
little
and
KPIs that, yeah, whoo, this is
Jim,
good
most
stuff.
guys, I would even say you probably don't even want to be at a 70% close rate because I hear guys talk about I'm at a 70% close rate, like you said, and it's like, well, dude, your services are pretty cheap then at that point. Like you need to like the sweet spot I'd see most successful businesses like yours, and you have to differentiate as we talked about, Jim, because you talk about this too. New customers and new customers and the close rate that you have on new customers and the close rate that you have on existing customers. You want to track those separately because some guys will say, we have a 70% close rate. And I'm like, dude, there's ads are running for you right now tells a different story where they're like, well, and it's like, yeah, because you're closing majority of your leads from people that already are coming to your business. But what about new customers? What is your close rate on that? And I'd say a lot of people for their new customers, Jim, 20% close rate is like where a lot of guys are sitting 20 to 30% when they complain about their lead volume. And it's like, dude, you're just not closing the leads you're getting. You're at 20 to 30%. Imagine you just double it to 40. and you change your pricing structure, right? So these are things that
Exactly
I've learned
right.
from these are things that I learned from companies like yours, man, and just even my own that I've ran with that, right? So I
I,
think,
I,
guys, if you listen to this, because I know Jim is a wealth of knowledge, and I know that he has to go here soon in that sense, but I look at it like that to where, man, we could talk about expansion too, to be honest with you. That's another lever.
It's I'll tell you what, it's this stuff, Jonathan. Great questions. Holy cow, this is such good stuff that so many just miss. And it's nobody's fault. It's just sometimes you got to have these candid conversations because this is really getting under the hood. This is opening up that curtain and getting behind the scenes, getting in the
Yeah.
weeds. We're finding out what's missing, what's broken, what's needed in your company, and these are the things that we need to go to work on. You know how many clients that we've been able to work with that have these things that are wrong. And as soon as we go in and start fixing them, a doubling effect occurs in their revenue without even spending money on lead flow. Imagine what happens when we start spending money on lead flow. I mean, Pete Norwood is a perfect example of this. Doing 20,000 a month. We 10 times his income, his revenue. We 10 times his revenue month 25, 200 over $250,000 a month. But this stuff that we're talking about right now, that's just one of so many different examples by fixing this stuff. Because you fix the inside, then you're ready to turn that marketing dial on or up with the marketing arsenal that we talked about before.
Mm-hmm. No.
Acquisitions. If you want me to take a minute and whet the appetite.
Yeah, man. Go ahead.
Acquisitions. Now, many are not ready for this. Some of you are ready for this. You need to have an administrator in place full time. You you can be in the truck still. Acquisitions is simply buying out your competitors, your local competitors. Essentially, all you're buying is a list. If I'm buying a company and it's doing $200,000 a year, I want to know what that database of prospects and customers looks like. I want to know what the assets look like. Two different columns if you get my visual on that. Maybe I'm interested in the assets, maybe I'm not. And every January, we make a list of all of our competitors and get the lay of the land. We take out whoever's not really in business anymore, and we just start reaching out to them on a very regular basis. And eventually, someone's going to say, you know what, you reached out to me 3 times. I'm ready to sell. What are you going to give me? And the conversation goes from there. It's a system. It is a system. It's an acquisition system. But I'll wrap this by saying this. We've done 21 deals over the years, 21 buys. One had money out of my pocket, $1,000, $1,000. All the others that didn't cost me anything out of my pocket, not out of my personal funds, not out of my business funds, based on how we structured the deal. So if any of you are interested in any of these things that we're talking about, hop on a call with me, any of this stuff. Love to go deeper in it with you, whether we work
Yeah,
together or
and
not.
Jim will provide the link to that to where you guys can go ahead. Because me and Jim have conversations like this all the time. So that's why I want to get you guys on here to just kind of see. We told him there was really going to be no agenda today. I said we're going to just go off the cuff, and I think we still did a pretty good job because I think these kind of conversations people need to kind of hear, right? And these are the kind of conversations me and you have all the time. And I was like, dude, we should just get on a podcast and just have people listen to these kind of conversations that we talk about. So, yes, guys, window washing wealth. We'll also put like not only the book, but we'll also put Jim. Like Jim will send us the link to where you can go ahead and book a time with his team, so you guys can go over this same kind of thing as well. When it comes to looking and assessing your business, because I think Jim is very great at taking businesses. I think you're super specialty. I wouldn't even say one like yes, 100 to 300,000. I know that's your avatar with that, but I think you're really amazing at taking those businesses from like 500,000 to like that million. Like there's so many of those kind of clients that you have, Jim, that were doing like 400,000, 500,000, that are like already have a solid foundation, but you're taking them to like that million, $2 million range. And I think that is like, I can't lie. That's where I've seen you shine, my friend, on
Thank
that,
you for that. Thank you.
to
Thank you.
where so we've had guys like Pete, Greg, Roger, and those kind of guys that were at those points, and they had good businesses, but you take them to that next level in that sense. And so
Yeah.
to get a business to 7 figures, I think the acquisition thing you're talking about, all of that stuff is where you're at on that. And so in that. So that's where you guys can find Jim. I know that we have to wrap this kind of stuff up right now, but Jim, it's always good to have you on these calls, though.
Anytime, Jonathan. We can do a part two to this or a part three
We can
from the
do a
first
part two.
call.
We can talk
Whatever you
do a
like.
part two, talk a little bit more about that. Yeah,
I love
definitely.
talking shop with you. And you know what? I just have to say this. Any of you listening to this, Jonathan is on my team with Squeegee Pros. He has saved us click money. He has got us in markets of Charlotte we couldn't get into before. We have seen the growth occur. And I say that without hesitation, without equivocation, because it has been he has outshined the last company that we were using by a long shot. I wish I would have done it sooner. I really, 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 really do. You are so good at your craft, at doing what you do. Anyone that's thinking about it, don't even hesitate. Just don't even hesitate. It's been golden for us. And yeah, we're just excited to see what happens in 2026 now.
Hey, I am too, and I really appreciate those words, Jim. I know we're going through those calls, just like for a lot of you guys. I was talking with Jim. He's like, "Man, I'm kind of satisfied with some of this," or we have to dive under the hood sometimes and look at that. And your business is very easy to work with. You have a great team over at Squeegee Pros, right? That's running it. You guys, any recommendations we have, you guys are on it, and so we're only as good as the foundation that our client gives us, and if they actually follow what we say, which you guys do. So I have to shout out you and your team, Christina, you, Brian, the entire team. You guys are doing your thing.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
I love our relationship, Jonathan. You're
yeah,
just unbelievable. You're just a good guy. But I could talk shop with you for
yeah,
hours,
yeah. We can.
hours. So we'll continue this conversation. I mean, I'm totally up for it. So just let me
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, no, of course. So I appreciate everybody that's listening right now. Like I said, we'll put those links below, not only to the book, but also to get on Jim and his team's calendar as well to talk some more shop about conversations like this and looking and assessing your business. And then also for us, I'll put our link on there in the description where you guys can have a call with us too. And so I'll put all of that in there so that you guys have that information. And yeah, Jim, I really appreciate you joining us today, man. I know you're a busy
Thank
guy.
you. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, then. Well, like I said, guys, thank you guys for watching. Jim, Window Washing Wealth, Squeegee Pros Window Cleaning out of Charlotte, and even like I said, one of our clients. And so that is him. That's where you can find him. And yeah, guys, we'll see you guys in the next one.